All right, what's up, everybody? Uh, Grand Rising. First off, it's a Saturn day, so I hope everybody, has a good Saturn day today. And uses this day to maybe restrict yourself from something that will benefit you. Or maybe something that is a habit of yours that you want to restrict, and yeah, just tap into this day's energy. And yeah, or just working hard on yourself, or doing something that'll benefit you, like I said. So yeah, I probably wanted to talk about a few different things today. Um, Starting off with like information versus wisdom, and like the application of the information that we are obtaining, in our spiritual journeys or just in life in general, because you know we are um, we are no thing at the end of the day, but we are here on Earth, on this in this reality, and it's very physical and it's very real. And we have a lot of different things that we have to take care of, whether it be responsibilities or our families or whatever we have created for ourselves, that we need to take care of, or maybe things that we haven't been taking care of. And yeah, we're in the process of trying to get that all that together, and trying to get right ourselves, or whatever type of healing that we still may need, or whatever type of programming that we still need to get rid of and stuff like that. um, but yeah, pretty much, like I feel like being on this spiritual journey, like, and I can speak for myself, and but I feel like this is a lot of people as well. So that's why I want to speak on it, because it's something that I've been through personally, and yeah, something that I definitely need to work on, um, is, like when we get on the spiritual journey, which I've been on it for maybe like, it's probably been like 4 years now. I mean, like, I feel like most people, certainly like in the soul group, and just anybody on that type of level, resonating with us. I feel like we've been pretty spiritual like our whole lives and stuff like that. We just weren't really super aware of that, or we weren't really super tapped in, And there's a lot of people that have been, but that's just not everybody, because a lot of people can get caught up in all these different programs, and maybe we came into families that weren't so spiritual, and we had to get out of certain things like religion or whatever the case may be, get over certain obstacles, if that wasn't the case for you. But yeah, I feel like most people, like there comes a time where we have like a spiritual awakening, as they would call it, where we actually may have um, like our kundalini starts rising, or just maybe a sudden moment when, like a light switch just turns on for us, and we start seeing things differently. Whether it may be maybe you did open your third eye, or just whatever the case may be, I know for me it was kind of just like a sudden reality shift, like my whole life just kind of shifted at one point, like I was this person one day, and then the next day I was just kind of in a different world, like where it didn't really feel real, it felt like I was kind of in a dream world, but which is what this is, but still it was just completely different from the way that I was living before, and the way that I felt, and my body and my energy. It was like I could really feel like that, all the energies in my body, moving around, and I was able to like shift my reality, like just like that. It was pretty insane, at the time. Like I was going through a lot at that time, because yeah, we're so used to living one way, and it's like our whole reality kind of shatters, and then it's like we're in a new world at that point, so a lot of people really can't handle that. And I mean, at first, I don't know, I just had to really just be, like, that's, I guess that's why we're human beings, like we just really need to be sometimes. And that's really what got me through all of that process, maybe over the few years that I was really going through a lot, like was trying to obtain all the information that I was receiving, because we are receiving downloads and all type of things, like especially when we have like an awakening like that. It's like all of these different things will come to us every day, probably most of the day, probably all day, so it's like it's hard to handle at first, but it's just like a bike, ain't nobody, or anything, nobody just learns how to do anything just like that, so it takes time, it takes patience. And like I said, you you really just need to be and go with the process, trust yourself, trust in the process. and really just start to find yourself over time, and over the past few years, things really started clicking, and I really kind of calmed down from that, and I was able to receive that information at more of a level that I can handle, and I feel like that's what most people go through, because I know a lot of people are pretty new on their journey, so they're hit with all that I was hit at first, and I know it can be intense, but I just feel like, I try to tell people just to remain calm and just be, maybe practice meditation more. I know I was meditating a lot more at that time. Things like yoga, just things like, being in the body, trying to be present, because yeah, you can be all over the place at those times, maybe with the past, and what is your future going to be like. But I think it's really important to remain in the present moment, because yeah, like I was saying, once we really get started on this journey, we can really start to like just start to just crave knowledge and information, which is really good. um, I mean, I feel like we've been here many different times, so it's like we have all this different information and knowledge that's already within us, that we've maybe obtained throughout our whole journeys here in this reality, through many eons, and as many times as we've been here, I feel like we've obtained so much knowledge and information, um, that I mean, yes, it's great, to certainly find spiritual teachers, like Dolo. I mean, that's one of my favorite, because he's one of the newest ones that I've came across, and I mean, I found him like pretty recently after I had my spiritual awakening back in 16. But still, like before that, I was on many different other people, whether it be, and people may think, I know a lot of people may be still indoctrinated, maybe like Alan Watts and just a lot of different people like that, I mean, I've been off a lot of that stuff for so long now. Yeah, I can't really remember a lot of them, but like I said, you probably just been watching all type of people, like from YouTube or whatever it may be, from other people, from reference or whatever, So, but yeah, like I said, feel like that's how the spiritual journey goes for most people. We just start trying to get all this information and knowledge and stuff like that, which is really good, like I said, because it may help us like um, speed up the process with finding ourselves and finding our truth and what we find true, like discernment of this information, because maybe everybody's not going to agree with the same things. So yeah, I mean, I know that was definitely me. I was just kind of just like binge watching all type of different things, even when I found Dolo, binge watching almost all of his videos, and it's just like you're just kind of just jamming yourself with all this knowledge and information. But I think it's super important, to like actually apply these things, because I feel like we can say if you did watch all of Dolo's videos, you got the knowledge and information for everything that you need to do, and I'm not saying we should just watch one person or like just be on like one person's perspective, because I don't know if one person can have, like um everything, kind of figured out, or like I still think, we're super powerful in our own right, and maybe everybody's not going to agree with everything that one person says, and I don't want anybody to, I want everybody to agree with everything I say, or everybody's different, they're going to have their own perception and perspective, like we can be from the same soul group, but maybe like with the little things, like there's going to be a lot of different, like I said, perspectives, everybody's going to kind of be on their own little journeys, and maybe have their own beliefs, but when it comes to a larger scale, I believe, like things are gonna like start to click and link up, like we may say it in different ways and go about it in different ways, but at the end of the day, we're kind of saying the same thing, it's just everybody's gonna put it in their own way, or and stuff like that, it just may sound a little different, but like I said, at the end of the day, it's gonna line up the same way, um because yeah, like I said, you can watch all the videos on all these different spiritual teachers, and it's like if you don't actually apply these things and turn it to wisdom, then you're probably never really going to see these things in your life, maybe that's why a lot of people may think, like they can't manifest things, you know. It's because we got so much things in our head, you know. It's just like we really just have to find what's true for us, you know. And you may have like 10 different things on manifesting, but it's like maybe two or three are what's going to work for you. So actually experimenting with all of them and finding what works for you is super key, you know, which is actually the application of this knowledge and turning it into wisdom. And everybody's going to have their own personal wisdom because, you know, like I said, these two or three may work for you. That two or three may work for this person. The other two or three may work for a different person, you know. So yeah, it's super important to actually apply and like I said, turn these things into knowledge. Turn these things into wisdom, you know, our own personal wisdom. I feel like that's the key, you know, to like really trying to ascend, you know, like certainly getting all your rings and gems and stuff like that. If you guys haven't seen Dolo's video on the Trine Year, 9 year, stuff like that. Um, yeah, just really taking care of our business, you know, really being serious about ourselves, you know, really being serious about spirituality. Um, you know, not really taking these things for granted, you know, because everybody in this reality is pretty caught up, and you know, we can see it as, man, they're still going to be caught up for eons, you know, because I probably have been caught up for eons, you know, so I'm super grateful, you know, for where I'm at and where I'm, you know, headed and stuff like that. So yeah, you know, so I feel like it's super important, you know, to like incarnate and to just really like step into your power, you know. And it may not just happen like that, you know. Like I said, it's gonna take time, it's gonna take practice, it's gonna take consistency, it's gonna take you showing the universe that um, you're serious about this, you know. Like you're not meant to be taken lightly, you know. We're all a force to be reckoned with, certainly like in the soul group, subconscious community, and there's a lot of people out here that just in their own different soul groups that are super powerful, you know. And but yeah, you know, I feel like that's the main thing is, you know, is like incarnating, finding out who you are, stepping into that, never doubting that, you know. Um, yeah, because I feel like once we do that, you know, like it's like I've always kind of been big on like, you know, I guess it's just like my spirit has always been telling me, like I like using external things, you know, like I have some crystals on me right now, like some black tourmaline. I don't know if you guys can see that, and then like there's like white quartz. Um, but yeah, you know, like with external things, I feel like it's super important to like set intentions, you know, and then you know, because I feel like my spirit has always been telling me like you don't need external things to be super spiritual, you know. You know, I've been battling with that. You know, is that is that truly like my spirit, or is that, you know, certain other spirits trying to get me off track? But at the end of the day, I feel like, you know, you can give all these crystals, or you can sage, you know, sage a lot of different people, you know, a lot of different toxic people, you know, or maybe even when I was in my toxic states and still in many different programs, like if I would have had crystals on me and if I'd have been saging myself every day before I went out, um, I still don't know if it really would have did anything, you know, because you can give all these things to somebody that doesn't really know about them, and it's not really going to do anything, or it's mostly about like what we put on them, you know. Like I said, it's mostly about like intentions, you know. Because like certainly when you get spiritual, everybody starts to, you know, build knowledge about these things, and it's like then we start knowing what their power is, you know. I'm not saying these things aren't powerful or these things don't have use. Like these things are really great, you know. I'm not saying anybody shouldn't use them, you know. Like, I'm just coming from a standpoint of we're super powerful, and just don't forget that, you know, maybe if you forget it one day, you know, you forgot your crystal this day, then, you know, don't beat up on yourself, or don't act like, you know, oh, things are going to get to me today, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen. You know, you can still just fully step into your power. Like I said, I feel like that's the part of incarnation. Once we fully incarnate, I feel like we may not even need any of these things because we're super powerful and we can create, you know, all these different things, you know, like if we want to, you know, create different spaceships for ourselves, or certain just whatever it may be, you know, like we can block all these things out ourselves, you know, or we can set up our lives to where none of these things will really affect us, or if we're just pushing out a certain aura or certain frequencies and vibrations, I feel like these things really shouldn't affect us, you know. So yeah, that's just like my main point with that, you know. Like I said, I'm not saying these things aren't beneficial in any way and stuff like that. I guess I'm just really trying to say, like, we're super powerful, you know. So just really start to believe that, you know. Because I mean, I think it's really cool, you know. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm a big fan of crystals and gems and all that type of different stuff, you know. But yeah, like I said, I just feel like, you know, once we really start to incarnate, we're just really gonna be super powerful, you know. I guess, you know, I'm just trying to find different ways to say it, but yeah, you know, I feel like that's the whole thing, you know, like with turning all this knowledge and information into wisdom, you know. Um, but yeah, you know.